Hey fellow Vault Dwellers, so public test server just received update with a lot of combat balancing, and there are some good and some bad news, so let's dive in. First, you can see removed flat 50 energy damage decrease from Tesla automatic barrel. Don't be too excited though, all automatic Commando weapons were hit quite hard in the following nodes, so they taking away this debuff but applying a new one, so don't be too excited yet. Adjusted the non-VATS aiming behavior for submachine gun to be easier to use. Railway rifle AP cost increased to 17. I don't really know why. Ultrasight laser gun, the same story, AP cost is increased. Next, fix an issue where the multi-shot canister and quad legendary mods for the broadside would result in additional reload animations, so one per cannonball. This is really good. So this annoying bug is gone. The same bug is fixed for all the quad, blunderbusses, dragons, black powder rifle, and so on. They all have it fixed, but of course, it wouldn't be Bethesda if they would not simultaneously hit those weapons, the quad weapons, with a nerf. So what's the nerf is? So the delay after firing, so between shots. Basically, in other words, they are reducing the fire rate for quad, black powder rifle, dragon, and so on. So black powder rifle, halved. Fire rate is halved. You will need to wait full second between the shot. It is worse for the dragon. You will need to wait 1.5 of a second between the shots. So let's say you reload the quad dragon, it's now one reload. But to fire 4 shots, you will need to spend 6 seconds on it. So there is no free buffs here. Harpoon gun adjustment, damage increase, now has bleed dot, which deals 20 physical damage per second for 15 seconds, which is quite substantial. Reload speed increased by 10%, ammo capacity increased from 1 to 3, delay between shots increased by 25%, crit multiplier increased, sneak multi increased. Okay, harpoon gun seems to be a sneak weapon now. Weight decreased from 16 to 14, so harpoon gun is receiving overall some love. Then remove the AP cost increase on the following mods: light machine gun, standard, and prime receiver. Tesla automatic barrel. So if you do not know, even though light machine gun cannot be modified really outside of putting prime receiver, it was high AP cost because of those receivers that it comes with. So now it's supposed to be cheaper. Adjusted the out of range damage multiplier for the following weapons. So what that means: black powder pistol from 0.1 to 0.5. Basically, it will behave like all other weapons. At this moment, black powder pistol, when you fire far away, it's only doing 10% of its damage. It will be doing 50% like basically all other weapons, and that applies to black powder rifle, to combat shotgun. That used to be a penalty for shotguns. It's being taken away, which is awesome. So all the shotguns will not drop the damage to basically 0 with distance. It will do damage like other weapons, and that applies to basically all the shotguns. Bolt action pipe guns, so that's a good news. Those weapons will be way more effective at distance. Then lower the base AP cost for the following weapons, like Alien Disintegrator, handmade rifle, assault rifle, combat rifle, fixer, radium rifle. So this is good. This is a buff. But then, okay, we are starting to go into a mixed bag. Increase the base damage for the following weapons. So that's the adjustment for the changes in perks, Rifleman and Commando perks. So this is the adjustment to compensate for that. Alien Disintegrator, handmade rifle, all of them going up by like 20, 30, sometimes 40%, depend on the weapon. Sometimes like assault rifle is basically doubling up the base damage. Now 3.333 shots per second when semi-automatic instead of 4. Reason, I don't know really, but it is changing. You may be excited at this point if you are Commando build because the base damage is going up. Don't be. This will apply to regular rifleman approach with semi-automatic. If you change it to automatic, those values gonna change, and how much we'll get there. But generally, all is going up. The fixer is significantly going up in base damage, but the hidden damage bonus that fixer has is being removed, so it's not as huge of a damage increase as the bonus goes away, but the base damage is up, which is overall positive. Radium rifle is receiving a boost. I don't think it will push it to be any way up, but it is. Submachine gun receiving a boost. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with submachine guns, to be honest, as they do not have semi-automatic option. And okay, that will clarify in a second when we scroll. Railway rifle, basically all rifles, different amount of bonuses, for some significant. For some really significant. Without testing it in practice, I think on Monday I will be able to start testing it. We cannot have definitive answer if any of those will break above, but definitely you need to go and give some feedback after you test to Bethesda, as I don't see it going very well with the next patch if everything stays as is, and we'll talk about it in a moment. Tesla rifle, combat shotgun, very significant damage increase. Double barrel shotgun as well, very significant. The cold shoulders, quite substantial damage increase, but fire rate goes down, so there's always a trade-off. Fire rate goes down. Hunting rifle damage increase. Gauss pistol, and that's surprise because that's not a rifle. Now deals 33% damage instead of 50% damage when uncharged, but the damage is going up by doubling it up. So even the 33% of the higher number, like from 218, will be more than 50% from 115. It seems very generous. The same for the Gauss rifle. Those are like the most generous buffs that we are getting. Gauss shotgun, same story. Are Gauss weapons finally receiving some needed love? Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. As none of the other weapons receive as significant boost as Gauss weapons are getting. So that's huge. Gauss weapons are huge. Black powder rifle is getting quite substantial boost, and the dragon is getting quite substantial boost. So that will compensate quite a bit for the fact that they're being punished by reducing the fire rate. The following weapons no longer receive AP cost reduction from their automatic receivers. So that's the first hit against Commando. As you can see, AP cost reduction from automatic no longer happening. So you will not see 3 and 4 AP cost on your weapons anymore. Basically, that's what it means. That applies to all the rifles that are automatic and receiving that. Submachine gun has a note. This weapon is always automatic, but still has its AP cost reduced by its receivers. So that's the thing with only automatic guns. There's similar story as LMG. The receiver does still affect AP cost, even though you cannot see it, because you cannot really put a semi-automatic on it. Base critical attack damage is going up, but don't be too excited. That mainly will apply to semi-automatic, and not only going up, but in case of the gamma gun, this road like took a reverse turn and is actually going down for some reason. A lot of values not very impactful outside of hunting rifle and Gauss rifle, as those supposed to be snipers that hit hard. Adjusted the base sneak attack damage, so similar situation like the crit damage. It was very similar story with pistols that was done in last patch, so the next patch applying the similar logic to rifles, especially snipers getting bigger multipliers. And now, to spoil the fun, automatic receivers for semi-automatic weapons now have the following: 20% reduction in critical attack damage, so they will not benefit from the buff to crits. 20% reduction in sneak attack damage, so they will not benefit from the buff to sneak attacks. And the worst of them all, 30% reduction in base damage instead of a 10% additive reduction in damage for most automatic receivers. It's now 30% to the base damage. And How big is that? If you are not really good at quick with math, I will give you some examples. So let's go back to some well-known weapons. The damage, where the damage? I scrolled too far. Let's say Alien Disintegrator. You are probably excited that it's getting this boost to 66 damage. Now, what happens if we apply reduction? Because you want to use it as automatic, and most of those rifles want to use as automatic. So if we apply this reduction, this damage will be reduced by 20. So we're going down to 46. So that's barely any improvement to the base damage for this particular gun. It's much worse if we look at handmade. As handmade, if you apply a 30% reduction here, that's 15 damage. So we are going down to 37. So that's worse than now. So it will be worse. So it's a nerf for the handmade rifle. The assault rifle is substantially enough boost that it will be a buff. Combat rifle, it will be a wash. Fixer, I don't know how really it will apply, as one is taken away, other is added and then taken away again. So for a lot of weapons, it can even be negative. Like, let's take a look on the railway rifle. So it's going up from 95 to 112, but if we apply a penalty, that's 33 over almost 34 down from that. So it will be lower than before the buff. For automatic version of railway rifle, it's a nerf. So that's why it's so bad, this last point, unless Bethesda will implement some magical Bethesda math that will cause this 30% to not work. But if it will be working as it's stated in those notes, a lot of Commando weapons will take a huge hit, not only losing the specific weapon damage perks, but as well losing on the base damage to start with, like 30%. Will undo all those buffs and sometimes put it even below what it was before the buff. So this is terrifying. I hope you give a feedback when you will be able to test them and tell Bethesda, listen, we don't need to kill Commando. There is no need to kill Commando. It's not even the strongest build at this moment. Why would you kill it? I don't understand. That I'm telling you now. I disagree with that. If anything, that should be 10% base damage reduction. Would make sense. From additive that is now to base damage, but 10%, not 30. 30 is going for a kill in addition to those. It's going for a kill on Commando. Single shot weapons needed some help and they did receive it. They don't need to do all those other changes. So it says what weapons will be affected. So basically, as you may guess, every Commando weapon will be affected. That's what listed. The good news for shotguns here, combat shotgun automatic receivers are receiving buffs and not as much penalties. So no longer increases AP cost, so that's a buff. Now has 30% increase in attack speed, up from 10, that's a buff. And now has a 10% reduction to base damage, so that's reasonable. 10% reduction after they are receiving a huge base damage boost will still end up with a buff for shotguns. It's not the same story for Commando. Commando is being hit, shotguns are receiving a buff. Is Shotgunner now going up? We'll see. But shotguns are receiving hefty buffs. There are some fixes to fishing. They are making it a little bit easier to catch those rare fish that I was not able to, because they were able to escape because I could move, before I could even move the minigame joystick. So that's being changed. Some good changes, the weight down and so on. Then legendary mods. So already they are listening to some of the feedback, like us complaining that Nocturnal received a nerf. So Nocturnal is being buffed to like reasonable amount. Pinpointers, it's now being changed to 20% weak spot damage boost without any annotations. Therefore, pinpointers will not be dead. It will be weaker than it is now. It's giving 50%, but 20% flat out for everyone that wants to use it. I think it's a respectable spot, assuming it's gonna be multiplicative like all weak spot damage bonuses. I will need to test, But if that's a multiplier for your damage, that's solid and will keep pinpointers good. It will not be the most powerful of them all to rule the world, but it will be very strong. Then Bullies is being changed to 25% damage per crippled limb the target has. So Bullies, assuming you can effectively cripple targets quickly, will be very powerful. That's like enemy has at least 6 or 7 different body parts you can cripple. So that will be like 150% bonus damage for you. Therefore, it is big. One thing I'm not happy about, Hitmans reverted the changes. I was praising the changes on the Hitmans being finally a cool effect. Reverted changes. Why would you do that? Like, should I be saying that it's terrible, then it will be kept. But if I said that it's awesome, then it's reverted as quickly as it was buffed. No idea. So there is a lot of crazy changes here. After that, renaming of the perks going on. So the perks are changing the effects and names. So the only thing that is staying on those perks is the animation. Everything else is new. So Rifleman, Downranger, Rifleman Expert, Scoped Up, Rifleman Master, Smart Shot. So the cool new names. Cool new names. That's the main thing in here. Some of the ranks is reduced to single rank, like Powersmith and Armorer. That's supposed to be. There is no armor perk. There's Armorer. Commando Master, new name Number Cruncher, is receiving a buff. As I said, I couldn't notice this increase in damage from AP when it was 1%. It's going to 2. So maybe now it will be good. And PTS Locker is receiving some items. But generally, what do you have to say? Shotguns up, Commando down, Rifleman up, some weapons crazy buffs. We need to test them, like Gauss weapons, Gauss pistols, shotguns, and rifles. Those are receiving crazy buffs. Some of the weapons will really suffer, especially on the Commando side. What do you think? What do you think about all those changes? Let me know. And now, thank you a lot for watching, and see you all in the next one.